and welcome to Serenity Yoga, brought to you by LivoniaTV right here at the Livonia Community Recreation Center. Today we'll start off in a nice cross-legged easy pose. We'll start off with something called box breathing, and it is called box breathing because it has 4 components, like these sides of a box. The first step is inhaling for X number of counts, holding your breath for the same number with full lungs, exhaling through the nose for that same number, and holding your breath with empty lungs for the same number. So we'll go ahead and get started with a count of 4. So we'll inhale through the nose, sitting up nice and tall, crown of head growing tall to the sky. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold your breath with no air in the lungs for 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you continue breathing normally, your deep, smooth, rhythmic breath. Now usually people keep doing this for a progressively larger number of counts. So we'll go from 4 to 6 just so you get a feel for it. So we'll again roll our shoulders back, rib cages open, crown of head growing tall, and we'll breathe in through the nose for a count of 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath with lungs full of air for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale slowly through the nose for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold your breath with empty lungs for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we'll continue breathing normally. Let's start off by reaching both arms up to the sky, bringing right hand on the floor beside you, sliding that bottom hand away, getting a nice side bend on your left side. Inhaling both arms up, exhale, left hand down, sliding that arm away, right arm swimming alongside right ear. We'll bring that bottom arm back in, stretching both arms to sky. Inhale, exhale, hands in front, walking them forward and melting. We'll then walk our hands back in, bringing our hands behind our hips, fingers facing away from us, planting palms, opening ribs, deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And eventually, we'll come back through neutral spine, both legs long in front, shaking them out. Now you may like to use a strap for this next pose. It is a chest opener, very good for your heart and lungs. So we'll start off putting your strap around your left foot. Right foot plants inside of left leg. Strap starts off in left hand. Right arm reaches up. We stretch and inhale. Exhale, strap goes into your right hand. And your left fingertips plant behind left hip, peeking behind that shoulder. Now, if you're ready for it, you can scoot your hand further back to open your ribs even more, or wind that arm all the way around, hooking onto your bent leg. And just keep twisting as you lengthen spine, deep inhales and deep exhales. And then we release, coming back through center. Let's see if we can release our strap, and we'll go for some good old-fashioned twists. Very good for your digestive system and your back health. So we'll take that right foot and bring her outside of your straight leg, reaching your left arm up, deep inhale. Exhale, left arm wraps around right knee, right hand plants behind right hip, peeking behind back shoulder. Now, if you like, you may like to bring your left arm outside of your bent leg, and you push up against that outer edge as you twist, and your right hip should start stretching out even more. One more breath in, and we'll exhale through center. So now we'll go for another little hip and shoulder opener, taking your left hand, bringing left hand near hip, shifting weight onto left hip, bending your left knee, and perhaps stacking your right knee above the left. This is called cow's face legs. It stretches of the hip corresponding to the knee on the top. Now for my classes, I like to combine this with eagle arms to stretch out your shoulders. And whenever right knee is on top, I always ask my students to wrap their left elbow under. Now if this configuration of arms is a little difficult, feel free to have left elbow under, hugging yourself. That works just fine. So either option, you lift elbows up, you push elbows forward, and you melt. Now it is going to be your right hip and your right shoulder that you feel it in. And we'll inhale and lift, and exhale, unpretzel arms, planting fingertips behind you, pushing chest forward, lengthening spine, deep breath in. And we'll exhale and bring our legs in front, shaking those guys out. So that was a deep bend in your right knee, so we'll love up the back of that joint. So your right leg will be straight at a diagonal, left foot along right inner thigh, maybe a strap going around your right foot. Feel free to put that strap around the center of your foot, right in the middle of your plantar fascia muscle. Flex and point the foot, circle your ankle, so this kind of opens up space in the little joints in your feet, gets the circulation going. And then we'll flex our toes in, walking hands forward, melting into that leg. If you need a bend in your knee, you are welcome to take a bend. Now for your spine, we'll take our left arm, crossing it over right leg, planting left fingers outside of straight leg, walking the fingers further away from that leg, closing eyes, deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And this particular stretch gets a part of your mid to low back. It's particularly good for people who sit in chairs for long times. So now eventually we'll get that side body opened up, pulling left arm in, keeping strap in right arm, right elbow inside of right leg, left fingers swim alongside left ear, bouncing left fingertips in the direction of your right toes. Stretch goes down the straight arm into rib cage, into the hip. And now for your neck and shoulders, we'll reach our left fingers up, palm facing back, and bend your left elbow, back of hand touching back, and right ear melts towards right shoulder. Area connecting neck and shoulder gets a nice little lengthening. One inhale here. Exhale, lifting head, straightening arms, planting left hand in front, pushing spine through neutral. And let's see if we can do that sequence on the other side. So we'll release strap from that foot, and we'll bring our legs in front, shaking legs out. Now, before we go to the other side, we'll love up our neck and shoulders one more time with the forward fold variation. So we'll put a strap around our feet. We'll grab either end of strap with hands, tuck your chin down, kind of pulling back, and then we bring right ear closer to right shoulder, leaning to right. You'll feel stretch go up the left arm into shoulder and neck area. And then we'll bring it through neutral, left ear towards left shoulder, leaning in that direction. Stretch goes up the right arm into neck and shoulder. And we'll bring it back through neutral, chest through center, releasing hands, maybe rubbing hands together in case your palms feel a little irritated from the strap. And then we'll keep the strap around your right foot, and we'll bend our left knee, left foot inside of straight leg, starting off with strap in your right hand. Left arm reaches up. We stretch and inhale. Exhale, arm inside of bent leg, strap goes into left hand, and right fingertips plant behind right hip. Now sitting up tall, looking behind back shoulder. Feel free to stay here or scooching those fingers even further back. Now, if you are ready for it, you may like to release strap and grab onto big toe with left fingers and wrap that right arm all the way around, hooking onto your left thigh, and you sit up tall as you twist. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And then you exhale back through center, and we'll put our strap aside for time being, and we'll twist for our other hip. So what we'll do is reach your right arm up, inhale deep, exhale, right arm wraps around left knee, left hand plants behind left hip, peeking behind that back shoulder. Now if this is hitting the spot for you, feel free to stay, or bring your right arm outside of your left leg, pushing up against outer edge as you twist. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And then we'll exhale back through neutral. So we'll stretch out that left hip a little more by bringing your foot outside of bent leg, and right palm on the ground, shifting onto right hip, bending left knee, and then stacking your, stacking your left knee above the right knee. And whenever left knee is on top, we wind our right elbow under for eagle arms, or right elbow under, hugging yourself, whichever is more doable today. Elbows go up, elbows go forward, and we melt our chest down. And it should be your left hip and left shoulder that you're feeling it in. We'll inhale and lift. Exhale, unwind the arms, planting fingers behind, pushing heart forward, lengthening spine. Deep breath in. And we exhale, unpretzeling legs and shaking those guys out. So we'll now stretch out the whole back of your left leg. So left leg is straight at a diagonal, right foot along inner thigh, strap goes around the center of your left foot, and we'll do the same thing we did on the other side. Flex and point toes and circle your ankle clockwise and counter. And then we'll flex those toes in, walking hands forward, melting into leg. Anytime you need a bend in the knee, feel free. Now about your mid to low back region, we'll take your right fingers, cross them over a straight leg, touching those fingers on the floor outside of straight leg, and walking those fingers further and further away. And feel free to close eyes, deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And eventually, we'll lift your right arm up, pulling that arm in. Keep strapping left hand, left elbow inside of leg. Right arm swims alongside ear. Maybe bouncing those fingers in the direction of your toes. And deep inhales and deep exhales. And now for your right shoulder, side of neck. Right fingers reach up. Palm faces towards the back, bending elbow, back of hand touching your back, and your left ear towards left shoulder. And deep inhales and deep exhales. And eventually we lift our head, straighten your right arm, right hand plants in front, pushing into the ground, lifting chest, and we'll release our strap. And let's just see if we can bring both legs in front, shaking them out, flexing our toes, and going for an informal forward fold. Now feel free to do a little side-to-side movement. So the movement increases the intensity of the stretch in back and hips, and it spreads it to different locations in the backs of your legs and up your back. So it should feel wonderful. Now Now we'll go for some seated cat-cows. This is definitely something you can do at home, at a dining room table or an office table in a chair. So you start off planting your feet. Knees are wide, feet are about the width of your yoga mat. That's how wide they should be. Hands go behind your thighs, and you open knees even more. Push your heart forward, looking up to sky. Now, as you push your heart forward, I want you to open knees even more and inhale. This is your seated cow pose. Exhale, knees together. Tuck your chin, round your back. Now, I recommend keeping elbows bent and pulling back gently on thighs. And this is your seated cat. Inhale, knees open, chest forward, looking up. Exhale, knees together, chin down, and rounding back. And I want you to keep on doing this. So whatever pace suits you today is fine. Feel free to close eyes and imagine in your mind your spine as being long and flexible. All parts of it are moving and bending. Muscles and nerves in your back are unwinding as all tension is released through your deep breath. Beautiful. Now I want to get into a place called your SI joint. Your SI joint is where your hips and your hip bones and your spine, your sacrum meet. It's the source of a lot of back pain for a lot of people. So I would recommend a block or even a pillow if you're at home, something to put in between your heels. Knees are bent. Now, if knees are achy today, feel free to straighten out legs a bit. The pose still works as a great back stretch. So depending on how your knees are feeling, we'll bend those guys. Block in between heels. Inhale, chest open. Exhale, you fold. Now don't worry about how low you go as long as you're feeling it in your back, and I'm pretty sure you are. So, and just deep inhales and deep exhales. Some people like to kick it up a notch by moving right shoulder forward, left shoulder forward, right shoulder, left shoulder. Some people do like to focus on one side of their back at a time. You can do that by stretching arms long, walking hands to your right, left hand on top, head between arms, and your left SI joint is the one that gets stretched. And then we bring hands through center over to your left side, right hand on top, head between arms, deep inhales, deep exhales, and this time your right side of your low back gets some stretch. And then we bring our hands through center, lifting heart. Now the next little maneuver is best done with an actual yoga block. So you bring your knees together and you point your toes to the ceiling. Block goes in front of toes, hands in front of block, preferably elbows inside of your knees, especially if your legs are a little on the longer side. So I've never had that problem, but to each person is different. So we'll scooch our heels forward, and as you scooch forward, you tuck your chin down and you push block forward with your toes. Now it's supposed to feel like somebody is holding your hands and pulling your arms forward. Stretch goes down the arms, shoulders, all down your back. It is an incredible sensation. So deep inhales and deep exhales. Then we'll lift our hearts and we can put our block aside. Let's see if we can swing our legs around and find our flat back tabletop position. Now alignments are very important here, so I want you to have your shoulders aligned above wrists, palms are flat, fingers spread wide, middle fingers forward, hips aligned above knees, and feel free to move hips side to side, maybe drawing circles with hips, closing eyes, deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Now eventually, I want you to just pause here in your flat back table, curl your toes under, and lift your hips up a little down dog stretch. Now remember, if your wrists are too achy for traditional down dog, you can always ball up hands into fists, thumbs forward, same effect. And you can always bring elbows down on the ground, technically a yoga dolphin, but it stretches the same area of your back, so it's pretty beneficial either way. So either case, we'll bend, expand our knees, we'll move our hips side to side, a little deep inhaling, a little deep exhaling. Now here, let's see if we can pause and reach our right leg up to the sky, three-legged dog. While I have you here, let's circle our right foot clockwise and counter. Then we'll bend our right knee, right foot goes up into the left, maybe stacking right hip above the left and stretching that quadricep. Inhale, exhale, straighten your leg. Right knee comes close to your right wrist, and your right heel comes in front of your left hip, keeping those left toes curled and sliding left leg back and letting upper body melt. This is your yoga pigeon pose. It is a hip and low back stretch. Now, if you want to stretch out that glute muscle a little extra, you may like walking hands over to your right side, left elbow lowers, upper body twists, looking behind right shoulder, and just deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Now, we'll bring our hands through center. I want to stretch your shoulders out a little. So what we'll do is take our right arm, sliding that guy to your left, right shoulder, side of head lowers, top hand holds hands with the bottom hand, top arm pulls bottom arm, the stretch goes up your right arm into shoulder, you're getting a spinal twist and your right hip and sciatic nerve is getting opened up. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out, and eventually we'll plant our left palm into floor, pushing upright. Feel free to bring your right hand on ground by your right thigh and lean on right hip, left leg from back to the front, shaking out your legs. Now here, in order to make sure your left knee didn't get overstretched in that deep bend, I would say that a forward fold is a good move, maybe with a strap. Putting that around the fronts of your feet, walking hands up, melting. And again, that rocking side-to-side motion, it spreads the stretch and it intensifies the feeling of stretch. And after a nice forward fold, let's see if we can find our down dog again. So we'll swing our legs around, starting from flat back tabletop, palms flat, fingers spread wide, middle fingers forward, curling toes under, lifting hips up, bending, expanding knees, moving hips side to side. Feel free to lift up onto balls of feet, deep breath in, exhale, heels down. Doing that a few times will stretch out the backs of your legs pretty well. And we'll pause and walk our feet forward, finding a nice little forward fold. Now here, I want you to just literally hang out. So letting upper body hang from hips as you shake your head, yes. And we'll gently shake our heads, no. Shaking out your arms from tops of shoulders to tips of fingers. And then we'll grab hold of opposite elbows, letting upper body just hang, closing your eyes and breathing deep as you rock side to side. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Now eventually I want to really show you a great back stretch. So I want you to take your hands, sliding hands under feet. If that is not possible, you can do fingertips under toes. And some students even like putting a strap under both of their feet and grabbing either end of the strap. So the point is that you grab hold of something and you tuck your chin into chest. Imagine shoulders lifting up. Imagine shoulders moving forward, moving hips gently side to side. And your arms, legs, and both sides of your spine get a pretty good stretch here. Now eventually we'll pause, releasing hands, fingertips on ground, bending knees, palms on thighs, rounding your chest up to standing, reaching both arms up to the sky. And we'll inhale, maybe a little back bend, opening your heart to the heavens. Let's exhale, hands to heart center. We'll close our eyes and we'll gaze within, and we'll bring to mind the image of a forest of trees. Each tree is unique and different, perfectly made with its own special purpose. And the forest would be like a puzzle with a missing piece if each tree weren't there. Connecting to that rooted, purposeful place inside of you, we'll imagine roots growing through your right leg, 4 corners of your right foot in touch with the earth. Inhaling and opening eyes, we'll lift our left toes up into a tree pose. Now I want you to keep in mind, you can always, in any yoga class, this is a legitimate tree, left toes on the ground, left knee opening out to the left, hands at heart, spine long. This is a perfectly good tree pose anytime. But if you want to take it up a notch, you may like bringing your left foot up against right shin. Now remember guys, either below your knee joint or above your knee joint. Never want to push up against that joint because it might lead to long-term issues in the future. So either below or use your hand to help it above the knee. Hands may be at heart, your branches may be spread, fingers clasped, and just gaze at a steady spot, a steady, immovable spot, and focus on your smooth, deep breaths in, smooth, deep breaths out. And when you're ready, we'll release, maybe shaking out arms and legs, and feel free to stand in mountain pose, rolling shoulders back, standing tall, inhaling, reaching arms up, exhale, hands to heart, perhaps touching your heart with your thumbs, listening to your beautiful heartbeat. And this is something you can do any time of day or night when you need to calm, recenter, ground yourself. We'll then imagine roots growing through your left leg, 4 corners of your left foot in touch with the earth. Inhaling and opening eyes, we'll lift right foot into your tree pose. So remember, option 1 is available. Right toes down, right knee out to your right, hands to your heart. Perfectly legitimate tree anytime. But if you want to kick it up a notch, you may like to lift up against either your left shin below the knee, or use your hand to lift up above the knee against your thigh. Now your foot is pushing up against your thigh and thigh is pushing back against your foot to hold you up. Hands may be at heart center, branches spread, fingers clasped, gazing at that steady, immovable spot, perhaps a point on the floor in front of you. Deep inhales and deep exhales. And when you are ready, we can release and shake out arms and legs. Well done. So we'll plant our feet onto the ground, rolling shoulders back, standing tall in mountain pose. Let's spread our wings, deep breath in. Exhale, swan dive and fold forward. Going for a windmill pose, walking hands to your right side, grabbing right leg with left hand, lifting your right arm up, looking under your right shoulder, circling right wrist, maybe opening and closing your fist. And we'll exhale, both hands down, moseying over to left side, grabbing left leg with right hand, left arm reaches up, looking under that left shoulder, a little circling of that left wrist, a little opening and closing of the fist. And then we'll exhale, both hands down. Now here, let's see if we can walk I'll turn this way. So we'll see if we can walk our hands and feet into our down dog once again. And we can bend, expand your knees, moving your hips side to side. Always deep breaths in, deep breaths out. We'll imagine someone standing behind us, pulling hips up and back. Let's reach our left leg to sky, three-legged dog, and maybe circle that left ankle clockwise and counter. Bending your left knee, left foot goes up and to the right, kind of stacking left hip above the right, stretching out that quadricep. And then we'll straighten out your leg. Inhale, exhale, left knee close to your left wrist, and bringing your left heel in front of right hip. I'll turn this way. So your right toes will slide back, and you'll melt your chest into the ground. This is your traditional pigeon pose. Now, if this hurts your knee, there is an option of low, kind of leaning onto the outer edge of your left hip, bending your right knee and resting on your side. This is more of a baby pigeon, but it does get the job done in terms of stretching your hip. So, if you are in traditional pigeon, feel free to walk your hands over to your left. Right elbow lowers, upper body twists, looking behind back shoulder. Now for a nice shoulder stretch, we'll walk hands through center, taking that left arm, sliding it way over to the right, lowering left shoulder and side of head. Top hand holds bottom hand, top arm pulls bottom arm away. Stretch goes up the left arm and shoulder. Your spine is getting a natural twist. Your left hip and low back is getting a little bit of a stretch. As always, deep inhales and deep exhales. And when you are ready, right palm plants into the ground, pushing into the ground and chest upright. Maybe left hand to the left of left thigh, leaning on that hip, bringing right leg in front, shaking your legs out. Now let's see if we can flex our toes in and just melt. Maybe a little rocking side to side to intensify the stretch. Now let's see if we can pause, and we'll do a little bit of a chest opener. So I want you to bend your knees and plant your feet. And option one is planting your hands behind hips, fingers facing in the direction of your feet, planting palms firm, opening heart, lengthening spine. This is called modified staff pose, very good for lung and heart health. Now, if you're ready for it, feel free to scoot your hands back a couple of inches, plant those palms down firm, press down firm with your feet, lift hips, squeezing glutes, lift those hips and let head drop back. And this is called inverted table / crab. And you may like moving forward and back, and the rocking intensifies the stretch. And one more inhale, and we'll exhale and lower hips down. Take your time, straightening legs, shaking out your hands. Now, after putting that much weight on your wrists, I do recommend some wrist stretching, some light stuff. So balling up your right hand into a fist, left hand on top of right, pulling that fist in. Stretch goes down the back of the hand into the outer part of the wrist. Then palm facing up, pulling fingers down one by one, maybe a whole bunch at a time. And don't forget about the thumb. Shaking that hand out, balling up left hand into a fist, right hand on top, pulling fist down. Stretch goes into outer wrist. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Left palm faces towards the sky, pulling fingers down one by one or a whole bunch at a time. Remember that thumb. And then we shake out our hands. Now, another good stretch for any pain in the arms or shoulders is interlacing fingers together, and you push your palms forward, tucking your chin down, moving head right to left, and maybe moving arms side to side, and deep inhales and deep exhales. And eventually we can shake out our hands. Let's see if we can grab our 2 blocks and 1 strap And if it is available, a squishy core ball, usually used in more of a Pilates class, but we can use it for yoga stretching purposes, stretching out back and legs. So all of our toys come either near our right hand or left hand. And we'll do one more chest opener. So we'll straighten our legs, coming onto your elbows and forearms, opening up space between elbows. We're gonna go for a modified fish, pushing heart up, letting head drop back, and deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Now eventually, we'll slowly lower our low, mid, upper back down, slide arms forward. And because that was a deep bend in your back, we'll bring knees into chest, forehead to knees, hugging your shins and tucking chin down, pushing legs forward. This makes sure that your spine is bent equally in both directions. Deep breath in, and we'll exhale and lower back down. So now I want to stretch out your hips and your back a little more. Now I usually give my students lots of options. Some people like a block under the small of their back, and that might hit the spot in terms of back pain. Some people like using one full coverage under low back, so blocks touching, short ends touching, kind of above each glute muscle, and that may work. And some folks like using this spongy core ball, available at major stores and different brands. And so some people like to take this ball and slide that guy under the small of their back. And usually in the classes that use this, you have to engage your core in such a way to keep yourself balanced. But because this is a yoga stretch class, I sometimes let my students bring a block to their right side, a block to their left side, planting your hands on that guy. Then when you lift your legs, you have something to hold on to. So for the next set of stretches, I will turn this way so you guys can see the bend of the knees. So we'll cross our right ankle above your left thigh, bringing legs in. Now here, you may like pulling legs in close, and your right hamstring and glute muscle will get a very good stretch. You may like kind of pumping legs forward and in, forward and in. A lot of my runners, avid walkers, dancers, they like this. Now you may like drawing little circles with your hips. So clockwise, counterclockwise. And always deep inhales and deep exhales. Now eventually, we'll pause and we'll uncross. We'll bicycle out our legs just to make sure there's some good circulation in them. And then we'll cross our left ankle above your right thigh. Legs in close. Feel free to pause if this hits the spot. Maybe legs forward and in, forward and in. Perhaps a little circling, clockwise or counterclockwise. And breathe out anything that doesn't belong on that left side. Now eventually we can pause, uncross and bicycle out our legs, making sure your knees are fine. And we'll reach our legs to the sky. We can open legs out wherever you're comfy, flexing and pointing your toes, circling ankles in both directions. Now here, you may like a gentle rocking side to side. And actually, a lot of my students like to bring their legs together and draw circles with their legs, clockwise, counterclockwise. Always deep inhales and deep exhales. Now I'll take this opportunity to show you an actual, it is usually done as an ab toning exercise, but we can utilize it in our yoga stretch class for opening up our hips, massaging your back and lengthening the muscles in your legs. So I want you to bring your legs in towards chest, open legs out, draw a circle with your legs, close the circle far away, legs come in, open circle, close the circle. And one more time like this. And then we'll reverse our circles, pointing toes away, open legs, closing circles close. And two more like this. Now, let's see if we can pause, and we'll bring both our feet onto the floor. Now here I want to show you a great quadricep, hip, and knee stretch. So I want you to keep that ball under your back, scoot your feet open, about the width of your yoga mat distance, and send both your knees, especially right knee, over to the left side. Pushing your right hip up and forward. Stretch goes down the hip, quadricep, and opens up space in your kneecap. Deep inhales and deep exhales. And then we'll bring our knees through center, sending both of them over to right, especially left knee way over to the right. Maybe left hip up and forward. Stretch goes down that guy into quadricep and kneecap. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Now here, I usually have my students bring knees up through center and then bring soles of feet together, knees opening out, and do a little rocking. So this kind of stretches out the nerves in your low back in a different type of way. It kind of hits any spots that our stretches may have missed. So just covering all of our bases. Now eventually we'll pause and we'll plant our feet, bringing knees together, maybe moving hips side to side just to get one last little massage in. And then pressing feet into the floor, lifting hips, removing the ball, and we can put our blocks and our ball aside. Well done with that. Now I definitely want to stretch out your legs using your strap. So let's grab that guy, and I want you to put the strap around your right foot, and we'll draw some circles with that leg. So maybe little circles, maybe medium, maybe even big, perhaps clockwise or even counterclockwise. Always deep breaths in and deep breaths out. And feel free to close eyes and just enjoy the stretch. Now the stretching lubricates your hip sockets so that you have good range of motion. So I want to get deeper into your right hip and your low back. So I want you to bend your right knee and try to pull your right foot in towards chest. If possible, your right knee goes into the hook of your right elbow, right foot in the hook of your left elbow. Interlace fingers, lie down and rock side to side. And this incorporates something that's usually done seated on the tushy, but it's called cradle the baby, but this definitely goes in deeper. And eventually, I want to show you a knee stretch, just in case you want to stretch that area out. So this next one is called lying down stork. So we'll take our left hand on top of your right foot close to your left hip, and point your right knee down and forward, and the stretch goes down the hip into kneecap, and even your shin and your foot muscle feels it. Now about that sciatic nerve, let's see if we can straighten out your right leg. We'll inhale at center. Exhale, crossing right leg over to the left side. Maybe putting your strap in your left hand. Right arm opening out to right. Head may turn to your right. Now here, you may like drawing some circles with your right leg, or flexing and pointing your right toes, or circling your ankles, stretching all the little muscles in your feet. After a few moments there, we'll bring our leg through neutral, releasing strap from right foot, shaking right leg out. Well done with that side. So just so you're not lopsided, we'll go for that other leg, putting strap around your left foot. going to draw ourselves some good old-fashioned leg circles. So maybe little, medium, big, clockwise counter. Remember, always deep inhaling and deep exhaling. Feel free always to close eyes, gaze within, and just enjoy the stretch. Now, want to stretch out your left hip just like we did with our other side. So we'll bend our left knee. Left foot is pulled in towards chest. Now, if you can, maybe placing your left knee in the hook of left elbow, left foot in the hook of right elbow, interlace fingers, lie down and rock side to side. Remember, this is based off a seated pose called Cradle the Baby. It's a very good hip stretch and back stretch. Now, for that left knee, let's see if we can place our right hand on top of left foot close to right hip, pointing your left knee down and forward in a way, lying down stork. Stretch goes down that hip into your knee. You may feel it in your shin and top of your foot. Always deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Now about that left sciatic nerve, we'll straighten our left leg out. We'll have ourselves a breath in. Exhale, crossing left leg to right side. Now, if you ever need a bend in this left knee, feel free to take a bend. Strap maybe in right hand, and we can open our left arm way out to the left. Head may turn to your left. Now, you may like to pause here or draw some circles with your leg. Feel free to flex and point the toes or draw some circles with your foot. Clockwise counter. Always deep inhales and deep exhales. Now eventually, let's see if we can bring that leg through center, and we'll release our strap. Well done with both sides. Putting strap aside, we'll shake out our legs. Eventually, we'll bring both of our knees into our chest, giving those guys a hug as we rock side to side, massaging your back into the ground, feeling wonderful. And let's see if we can pause here, planting our feet onto the ground and maybe planting palms beside us. We'll make sure feet are hip joint distance apart, 8 or 10 inches between them, 4 or 5 inches between heels and hips. Planting palms into floor, looking up to sky, lifting hips up, bridge pose, so good for your back health. We can interlace fingers under, rolling shoulders close. Now you could stay right here or scoot your feet in a little closer. Lifting onto balls of feet, pushing hips up. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. And when you're ready, we can lower right heel down, left heel down. Release your hands and lower hips. We'll bend those knees and bring them into chest and rock side to side. Now, anytime you do a deep back bend like that last bridge, I always recommend for my students something called Happy Baby. Happy Baby is when you open legs, grabbing toes, heels, inside of legs. It's a great relaxation pose, great low back and hip stretch. And it's good for the end of the day, winding down. Now, after some time there, we'll release hands, bring knees together. We'll draw some nice big circles with both of your knees to your right side. Some nice big circles with both knees to your left side. Now eventually we'll pause and we'll rest our arms and legs on the ground. Shavasana, relaxation pose. Feel free to use a towel or an eye pillow. Maybe they do have varieties with lavender herbs in the eye pillow for extra relaxation. And just a few minutes, closing eyes, gazing within, to really integrate the effects of your practice into your body. And after a bit of relaxation, we can gently wiggle our fingers and toes, circling your wrists and your ankles. Maybe taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Perhaps stretching arms long behind you, imagining your legs pulled long in front. As you roll onto one side, take your time, and we'll carefully help ourselves into any seated position. So that includes either butterfly legs, legs in front, cross-legged, and some people do like hero pose, sitting on their heels, knees bent. So whichever feels good to you. And hands may be on lap or heart center. We'll close our eyes, we'll gaze within. Wonderful job. Always important to pat yourself on the back, acknowledge yourself for a job well done. We'll take some time now to feel gratitude for our blessings, and that's how we're given grace and strength to hold on, maintain, sustain all you have. Then the heavens open up and pour out more. Finally, we'll take time to honor the higher part of ourselves, part that connects us all to the divine source of every blessing, connects us all to each other, part that no situation, circumstance, thing, or person could ever dim or tarnish. It always burns brightly and beautifully in us and all beings around us. Thank you so much for being here today. Namaste.